In the poem Ballad of the Landlord, Langston Hughes defines the issue of racism throughout the poem, giving specific examples of how African Americans are being oppressed, using literary elements including dialogue, theme, characterization, and conflict. The main character is the tenant, an African American man who is a victim of oppression based on his minority status. The antagonist in the story is a white landlord who is presumably rich due to his ownership of the property he rents out. The media also plays a role in the text, in the form of a newspaper that downplays the black tenant to the townspeople. Hughes chose to use an angry African American tenant to address a racial problem within the poem. The tenant is fed up with how he is being treated, similar to how many African Americans feel across America. The poem begins with African American tenant complaining to his landlord with issues with his home. The tenant says he has a leaky roof and broken steps, and when asked, the landlord reminds him that his rent is due. The tenant then says he will not pay his rent until the house is fixed. When the landlord threatens to evict the tenant, he says he will punch him in the face, and the landlord calls the police and has him arrested. The author uses this conflict to reveal the theme of discrimination towards African Americans, as well as favoritism towards rich white men, known as white privilege. When the tenant is arrested, a headline goes in the newspaper reading, "Man threatens landlord, judge gives Negro 90 days," further supporting the theme of white privilege exemplified in the poem. Hughes uses this theme throughout the poem to prove a point and get others to understand the real-world problem illustrated within the text.